Today we're going to start to add our second image now that we've practiced with those selection tools. So we need to open that image up. We are going to go to File, and instead of opening up in a separate tab, we're going to make it so that it opens up directly in here. We're going to go to Open and Place. So it's going to open the image, and then they're going to put it right in this document on another layer. And then I'm going to navigate. Yours should be in your Google Drive or in your downloads, and you're looking for that mountain mist. And then you're going to click Open. Notice in your Layers tab, it comes in right on top of everything else. Now that I have the image in here, I need to make it bigger. It's currently too small. So what you have around your image is a bounding box, and I need to make it bigger, but we don't want to stretch it out. So we're going to use our corners, and I'm going to hold Shift, and I'm going to pull this image outside. It takes a little bit to make it fill that whole space. If, for whatever reason, you lose those corners, once I'm done with this, I'm going to go back to confirm it at the top. You got to hit that check mark. That's so important, and it will get rid of those bounding boxes. If you could click off of your mountain mist and you get a lose your bounding boxes, go ahead and use your arrow key or your arrow tool. Click on that layer, and then what you're going to do is now you need to go up to Edit, Transform, and Scale, and it's going to give you that bounding box again, and you're going to have to hold Shift. We're always holding Shift so that our image size does not change. That aspect ratio, we want it to be the same, and then you can kind of move it around if you want. And then remember, again, you need to go up and click that check mark to say, yes, this is what I want. So if you take a look at your layers for a second, you're going to have a mountain mist, you're going to have your background with no white background, and then you have that copy that you've turned off. So at this point, you should have 3 layers. For these next steps, we're going to need another copy of that mountain mist. So this is all about layering images. So we need to go ahead and 2-finger tap, and we're going to make a duplicate layer. So now you're going to see 2 of each. But what we need to do is I need to move that background copy, that profile picture with no background. I need to put him in between the 2 mountain copies. So I have the landscape on top, I have a profile, and then I have a landscape underneath. I'm going to show you why this is important. And it's all about how these layers interact with each other. And there's a lot of problem solving and kind of creative thinking as you're going through this process. This is where it starts to get exciting. Notice I have my mountain mist. I'm going to just change the name of it by clicking right on there. Well, maybe. I'm going to call it my top mountain, just to kind of, so when I'm referring to it, you can kind of see by my titles. The profile, again, is in between. I haven't moved anything over in my image. I'm really only working over here in my layers panel. Now I'm selected on my top mountain layer. What I need to now do is make a clipping mask. And a clipping mask is only going to give me part of my image, but it's based on what's underneath. Again, remember I said problem solving. So what we're going to do is on this layer, we are going to 2-finger tap. We're going to bring up that menu again that we used for the duplicate layer. But what we want to do is we want to grab a clipping mask. And I want you to watch in the layers panel is where you're going to see the action happen. So you can see that arrow means, hey, this is clipped to that, meaning it's hooked. You can't see anything that happened because we still have this background turned on. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what did happen. So now I have the profile, but I only have the profile where that other image was. So it's merged there. And then I have this on. Or off, excuse me. So now I can see what's actually there. But I've created this interesting profile with this background image. Now that we have it clipped and we can see what we have, we want to start editing our background layer. So we're going to go all the way down to that mountain mist. We're going to turn it back on. But what we want to do is we want to start editing that background mountain mist so it's different than our top. So we're going to go into that adjustment layers where we were at when we were doing our bingo edits. So it's the half black and white, and we're going to go to new adjustment layer, and each one of these is going to give you a new layer, but it's also going to give you a lot of different options to see right away kind of what it looks like. These are all about light and dark, that first tier, and these are all about color, and then this one gets you into kind of some crazy stuff. So again, this is about you making those decisions. I'm going to start in color of balance. I'm going to start in hue saturation because I think you'll see that the fastest. And you're just going to play with these and see kind of what happens. Because right now it's set, but if I add a different color, see how my profile picture starts to come up. I can kind of change that, change the saturation, bump the saturation up. I can make it lighter. Anytime that you see an arrow, there's things that you can start to play with. Do I like that? Do I not like that? Do I only want to do with the greens? And then you can start playing with that. So this is about kind of figuring out what you like, what you don't like. This kind of tends to get in the way of our image. So once you're done with that, go over into this little dock and hit that properties tab to turn it off. Remember, with adjustment layers, you can start to layer them. So now I'm going to go back to my adjustment layer, which is that half black, half white kind of moon circle shape, and we can go into photo filter. And then this allows me lots of different colors. So right now it's that like sepia, but if I click on it, I can say, well, I really want it to be aqua. And then I just have to hit OK. That's the important thing. And now I'm kind of changing it. I can also say, well, how much do I want it to be? Well, what happens when I turn off this, right? I don't want that. So this is, again, all about kind of figuring out what you like, what you're finding visually interesting. And you're just stacking those up and playing with them as you go. If you liked your first one, but you didn't like your second one, just go ahead and turn it off. Use that eyeball. Notice it will tell you what it is, photo filter there, and then it will tell you over there which adjustment layer it is. The next thing that we're going to start to do is we're going to start to look at how can I make my figure come through a little bit more, because right now it's just a silhouette. So what we've currently done is really dealt with that background. So if you look at mountain mist, that blue one, and then we put those changes on top of them. Now what we want to do is, again, we're only dealing within this layers panel. We're going to go and deal with the stuff on the top. And remember, those two are connected. See that little arrow that says, hey, these two are linked? I'm going to go ahead and click on my top. So we started dealing with the bottom. Now we're going to deal with the top. And we're not going to deal with adjustment layers. We're going to deal with right up here where it says normal. And there's an arrow that tells us there's lots of stuff underneath there. Those are blend modes. So what it's going to do is it's going to change how things are seen through. So if you try some of the things at the top, you can see, okay, maybe I'm seeing too much. That makes it almost too dark, but I'm still getting some of the face. Okay, here he's transparent and this is transparent. Screen's not bad. The other thing that I can play with is right next to it is opacity. And I can start again using that slider. Remember I said anything that has the arrows, I don't like the opacity. Maybe it's because it's a clipping mask, are things that I can start to play with. Overlay might be too dark, soft light, but you can try all of these. That's kind of cool because I like how it reads there, but it's really dark. So let's try, I like the hard light because I feel like it's a good balance of still showing me some of my person and then also, both parts of those image. But again, this is all about you figuring out what it is that you like. And ooh, that one's kind of cool too. What you like, what you don't like. These kind of get into some crazy stuff. Right, it divided the image up. Maybe that was too much. So it's all about making those decisions. That is not going to work. So pick one that you think is going to work for you. Once you have it where you want it, we need to save it, and we're going to save it twice. So we want to make sure that we have all of our layers. So if we change our mind, we can come back to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to File, Save as PSD. So we're going to do File, Save as PSD. I'm going to call it Double Exposure, completed. Notice it saves it as that Photoshop file, and you can see what that looks like on my computer. On your computer, when you go to click on it, it will say it can't open it. So now I have all of these things. The next thing that I want to do is I'm going to go to Layer. I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom. And I need to flatten my image. Notice now I only have one layer and it's locked. Now I'm going to go ahead and say export as a JPEG. Yep, it's good. I want to save it as a higher quality, so I just bump that up and I'm going to say save. And I can keep that same title, double exposure completed, because it's saving it as a JPEG and not a PSD. So they'll have the same title, they'll just be different file types. I'm going to go ahead and save it. Once you've saved it, I want you to turn it in so I can see your progress.